Hi, my name is Gil Robertson, President of the African American Film Critics Association. Today we are so excited to talk to the cast of the film Hamilton, which is finally hitting the big screen this Friday from Disney+. We're happy to have Renée Elise Goldsberry and Okieriete Onaodowan join us for this conversation. And now I'd like to introduce you to our members. I'm going to start to my left with Reggie Pounder in Chicago. We'll take you across the country and actually a little bit outside. Sharonda Williams in Atlanta. Katia Woods in Philadelphia. Crossing the border to Toronto to Carolyn Hinds. The curvy film critic, Carla Renata in Los Angeles. Anthony Ant Johnson in Houston, Albert McGee in South Florida, Ronda Racha Penrice in Atlanta, Ruben Regald in South Florida, Kim Ford in Atlanta, and Ray Cornelius in Atlanta. So without further ado, we are going to step into this. You guys enjoy.
Thanks, guys. This is Reggie Pounder, the real critic out of Chicago. Firstly, my wife just loves to see you on the screen, and you're making me mad. So I just wanted to put that out there right now because I'm having some issues at home. But for both of you guys, can you talk a little bit about how you got attached to the project, and particularly about the moment as it relates to how you represent yourselves from a person of color? Because it's really meaningful for how people of color have received Hamilton and are and loving you guys in this. So can you talk about that?
You go ahead, Oak.
I was gonna say, you go ahead, Renee.
No. For his wife, you go.
I got involved just the good old-fashioned way. There's nothing exciting. I got sent an audition, and I went and auditioned, and then they're like, okay, this kid seems cool, and then started working on it. And in terms of I mean, I just tried to stay true to myself. I will say that the production really said, you know, they gave us license to create these characters however we wanted. And I really just brought a lot of me to Hercules Mulligan mainly, and then to Madison, a different side of myself. But in terms of how I'm represented, I didn't try to quell any blackness or, you know, curb it because the characters were white. That wasn't even a thought in my head when developing them.
I also came the traditional route. I had an audition for the workshop, and I'm grateful that I went. Yeah, and it was, you know, who knew? I mean, as excited as I always am to be cast in something, and as passionately as I felt about the one song I had heard when I auditioned, which was Satisfied, which is the song that Angelica Schuyler sings. I had no idea when I was at the grocery store the day I got that call that I got this job, that it would be as life-changing as it has been for me. I also didn't feel at any time that there was something outside or foreign from myself because I was playing a white woman historical figure. Never, ever crossed my mind. It's, you know, it's, you don't live life looking at yourself. You know what I mean? Your experiences from the inside out. And I just, and the ways that I approach a character, it's from the inside out. And I have a tremendous amount of in common with this woman. So you know, I think she was extremely privileged and also extremely discriminated against. That's pretty much my story. So yeah, I felt like I could, and also I think one of the most important things that we do in the theater in particular, when we get to interact more with other people in the show than you do in film, is we learn who we are, and we show who we are through our relationships with the other people in the show with us. And that ability to kind of love and celebrate and challenge each other is colorless. So that's what we did.
Thank you so much.
Hello. Renee, I wanted to ask you, you brought up Satisfied, which is such just a beautiful song for so many different reasons. And I wanted to know, how did you feel to be a part of something that is so colorblind, but it really represents what women were going through during that time, and to be a part of a play that actually includes the struggles of women and also to the accomplishments?
We talk a lot about Lin-Manuel Miranda and Tommy Kail and Jeffrey Teller, this kind of producing team, and their choice to cast it, you know, diversely, and how crazy and groundbreaking it was. I always felt it was also crazy and groundbreaking to take a time with all of the story they had to tell, and the short amount of time they had to do it, to take time and tell the story of a woman, right? And especially the supporting character woman, like just in terms of the dramatic line in any way, shape, or form. You know, my song would have been, Satisfied would have been cut. It does not move the plot forward. We are literally saying, rewind, rewind, like we are literally going back and telling you another perspective of something you already saw happen. Why are we doing that? It's this creative team that is so, you know, religiously follows the rules of drama broke them because they realized it was so important to tell the story of women, their historical role at that time, but also the struggles they had in the jobs that they juggle, and what their responsibility was to them. And I think he does that really beautifully with Angelica in that song, and he continues to do it throughout the show. He takes the time to do it with the female characters that he does stop and spotlight, and to me it's why the show works.
And then for the both of you, Oak, you know, you're doing this play, you know, every single night, but I want to know, since for the film version, how was it actually recording and not only having to, you know, make sure you include the audience, but being filmed at the same time? Is there any difference from the show back in 2016, which they filmed from? You know, does this change your performance throughout the play?
Well, for me, the only change was just do your show, you know, with the camera there, and it's going to be recorded for all time. Sometimes you want to put a little extra sauce here, or, you know, put a little extra stank there. But for me, I just had to remember, like, just do the damn show. Like, do the show that you know and you love. And I could speak for myself. I truly enjoyed doing that show every night. So just remember to do that. That is what got people crazy. That's what brought Barack back twice, like the show that we did. So I just had to remind myself, just don't change a damn thing. And what a gift that now the cameras can capture what we've been doing after a year of doing it. After it's in our bones, I think that's the gift, is that they decided to shoot it then, when all our nerves and jitters, and we experienced everything that you could go wrong on stage, that we're such a well-oiled machine that, like, the cameras are just there capturing. And Tommy would say that. He was like, now they can just capture it and they won't throw us off because we're just in the groove in such a way that it's undeniable what it is. So for me, I just said, just do the damn thing. Do it as you know it.
Hi, this is Carolyn and in Toronto. So my question is for Renee. Your song Satisfied is kind of unique for you, to me anyway, as a performer, because you're known for basically doing ballads and jazz performances for your career. So what was it like having a song that was both a ballad and a rap song? And like your rap segment is pretty impressive. So what was it like for you to having a chance to basically flex as a rapper on stage?
I'm grateful. I've always said this, the more challenging the audition, I mean, this is not arrogant, it's just because I can't get jobs in other ways, the greater the odds I will actually get the job. Because if you just got to show up and be cute, you know, there's cuter girls. Do you know what I'm saying? If you just got to show up and sing some big note at the end, Whitney Houston, I mean, like, there's other girls that do that well. But if you have to be able to do all of these things, the odds are greater that I'll still be in the room of the people that you're considering. And so I was really, I was grateful. And I didn't find it, it was strange to me that I was going to have an opportunity to do music theater, actually a music theater audition where I had to show up and rap with somebody playing piano. Seemed very strange to me at the time, but they didn't act like it was strange when I showed up, so I just did it. I grew up on, you know, R&B and hip hop music. It's, you know, since I was a kid, I was, you know, memorizing the words to my favorite rap songs and screaming them with my friends. So it didn't seem foreign to me. And I was grateful that theater caught up to where we were. And grateful that this song, you know, separate from me, will be in the canon of the greatest music theater songs and moments. And it is, you know, another form of music that our people brought into this world, right? Another one is being used in this medium to tell stories. And without this kind of music, this woman's story at the speed that her mind works would not be able to, you know, would not exist. So I'm excited about that.
Thank you.
Hi guys, Kathy Woods out of Philadelphia. My question is, this show has gotten this generation, a portion of this generation, interested in American history. At least it feels like they feel like they're being seen and they're being spoken to in a different way. How does that make you feel? And did you think that the show would have that type of reach for kids that found American history boring? All of a sudden they're like, you know what, I want to know more about these people. I want to know about what was it like to be Black people during that time, not just enslaved, but also free people.
History. So what I love is, I love history. I've always loved history. Even when I was a kid in history classes, really boring history classes, I knew it was the teacher's fault. I always knew that if the teacher, and I always knew that our history books were a soap opera. I mean, you know, I always knew that no matter what civilization, it was just drama. And I knew the reason why I loved history, even though I was this dramatic person, was because it's there in the story. So I knew the storyteller is what will be that bridge. And yeah, Lynn he's the great storyteller. He's a history nerd, and he's a hip hop nerd, and he's a theater nerd. And so we have the advantage of the ability of that fusion in him and in this show to kind of inject that passion into kids. It should always be there. And I hope we don't forget. If your kid ever comes to you and says, I hate history, I mean, I hope every teacher realizes, if you can make this interesting, like who thought this would be a good idea, right? If you can make this interesting, then everything is interesting, and we have to take more ownership in doing a better job about it. I'm excited that new kids, not only history buff kids, but theater geek kids, Black kids, you know, kids that don't feel any ownership in this story. I'm glad that they will hopefully take ownership because of the way we tell it.
No, I agree. I'm a history buff too, and especially living here in Philadelphia, it is still one of my favorite things to do, to go to Independence Hall. So thank you.
Can I add one more thing?
Sure, of course you can.
Because we're talking about history and what we were able to do with Hamilton, it's really important to say that it is just a gateway, right? This is not the full story. We're well aware of the fact that we were telling the story of a few people. What you don't have here included is the story or the voice of the many Black people that were writing at this time. And so our hope and our work that we're actually doing right now is using this platform to draw attention. You know, all those kids that love history, hey, you think you love Thomas Jefferson? Listen to Sally Hemings' writings. Do you know what I mean? Hey, you think you love George Washington? Guess who one of George Washington's favorite poets was? Phyllis Wheatley. Get into her. Like we're doing that and that work now. And we have to, or we fail if we don't.
Agree 100%. Thank you.
Hey, Renee. Hey, Oak.
Hey, Carla Renata.
How you doing, girl?
How you doing, girl?
Good. So this question is for both of you, and then I have a question for Oak. So this is the first year in history the Tony Awards has been canceled. This is also a year that's so difficult globally for a variety of reasons, but particularly for the Broadway community, because now all of those shows that missed that opportunity of being celebrated with the Tony Awards, all of that has now been pushed back to 2021. And we still don't know if that's actually gonna go down. So I wanted to know your thoughts about that. I wanted to know your thoughts about the diversity and how it is seen in the American musical theater genre, because we're dealing with a really big moment here in Hollywood where people are speaking up and speaking out about the types of roles that are and are not available for us on screen and in film. And then for Oak, how did you go from football to musical theater, brother?
I immigrant parents, I guess. Just when I got injured in football, my family's from Nigerian, and they're just like, you go and do something. You have to do anything. And they're like, even if it's theater, we just need you to do something. because you ain't gonna stay in this house. So that was the main transition, and that was the now, real talk though. That's the only other thing that I found myself wanting to apply myself. I thought school was very boring and academia was boring, so I didn't really put energy into it. But that was the only thing that every day I didn't mind showing up and giving every part of myself to do. So that's how I made that transition. All my sisters sang, so we would always sing. It was there. I just never utilized it. But like sports also was an expression of self. It's like, yeah, there are other linebackers, but no linebacker can like make the play the way I can make the play. So it just transferred that mindset to anything that I do. It's like like Renee said, anyone can do anything, but like I know I can only do it the way I can do it. So if you're buying what I'm selling, I'm good. I just have to make sure I'm presenting the purest version of what I'm selling. And then in terms of just like Broadway, I did a show called Great Comment, and I talked about how Broadway needs to take a knee. And it's interesting how then people didn't want to have the conversation. No one ever talked about that statement, but now we're having it now. And I think it's important. I think there's a reckoning that's happening in the theater community to realize that ticket sales isn't a good enough excuse to mute Black and brown voices. That's an excuse that has happened for a very long time in our industry. And I think people are realizing that it just can't be about the money anymore, that people are seeing past it, and that in order to promote and champion diverse voices, there will be risk, because due to systematic racism, the system isn't built to reward you for taking those risks on Black and brown voices and stories. So I don't know. I hope that it does change. We've seen a lot of like temporary change, and then a couple months or a year when people forget about it, things go right back to normal. So I think it really depends on us as a people and everyone who's watching in this industry and speaking up to continue this dialogue and keep holding all of these institutions to the standard of this is sustainable change. This is a lifestyle change. What we're asking, you don't do for a couple months, a year, or with a few productions and go back. This is actually going to be a thing that it will be from now on. From now on, you will be taking risks. You'll be taking risks on Black and brown voices. And in time, you'll see that people are ready to see it. You just have to present it to them.
Renee?
Yeah, I'm, you know, amen. Amen to that. The only thing I'll add is just expressing a little bit of the pain in my heart for, you know, my brothers and sisters who, I mean, that Tony season to me is a gift, you know. I'll just say this, Adrienne Warren, I remember we were nominated together when I was nominated for Angelica Schuyler for Hamilton. And one of the biggest memories I have is when, I'll start crying when I say it, when I was on the stage doing my speech, she was the first one that jumped up and was clapping for me like this, you know? She was nominated too, but she was like, you know what I mean? And it just reminded me of all those years I was sitting in my house clapping for my friends winning. You know, my husband had to be like, you know, LaShawn's won the Tony, it wasn't you. Like he always had to tell me that's not you up there, you know? And so I was really excited about, you know, clapping for her. Do you know what I mean? I was really excited about that. And I just, you know, I was excited about clapping for all of them. And I'm just praying for us. I'm praying for us all that we can get back to work and to the business of show, and that we can celebrate, you know, celebrate the artists in this community. We're still working at home. We're just, we're still working. We never stop working, but the ability to celebrate each other in the ways that we do, and to support each other's financially in the way that is desired and necessary. That's what we can't do. So I just have to pray about that.
Thank you, guys. And just to close it out, I saw both of y'all in Hamilton. Y'all slayed. It was fantabulous. And I'm glad that everybody can get a front row seat on Disney Plus right now. So thank you for answering my questions. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Hi, guys. Anthony Ant Johnson, the movie brother from Houston, Texas.
Hey, Houston, Texas.
What up? What up? Yes. What's good? So my question for you, I was recently watching a documentary about Sammy Davis Jr., and he was talking about his first time going on Broadway. He had never done it before, right? He didn't have any experience. And the director was telling him, hey, you know, take your energy from the day, right? Whatever that may be, good, bad, and, you know, use that as fuel to your character. And so my question to you is, you know, did that apply to you guys in preparation, you know, every night? And as a part of that too, you have personal lives. So I'm curious just to, you know, what was your process from, you know, day in, day out? You got families, other things going on, you know, how did you handle that in bringing your best each night as you perform.
You go first. You go first.
Okay. Is this specifically for Hamilton or just in general for all of our
specifically for Hamilton, but feel free to speak beyond that as well. Yeah.
But for me, it's just, I feel like everyone who worked on it, we'd have been doing this for years enough that inherently part of being an actor at that caliber is you just learn how to do that because it's your job. It's a job that I love doing and that I'm proud of doing. But at the end of the day, I would say, like, we'd have kids and they'd be like, do you ever mess up? And I'm like, yeah, but my job is, you will never know when I mess up. Like, you just won't know it. That's a professional, and that's a not professional, is that you just won't know it. So you do it because at the end of the day, it's the story. I have to tell this story in order to tell it the right way. In this moment, if Hercules Mulligan is laughing, I don't care who I fought with. I can't be frowning. Then it's like not about the piece, and it's more about me, and I have to separate myself from it. So just from years of training my mind to do that, that's how I go about doing it. And I agree with that Sammy Davis quote. I think every great artist, you have to infuse it with where you're at that day, you know? So you have to see how my emotional life today can parallel with the emotional life of the character, because throughout the course of the day, you feel every spectrum of emotion. So I'll just pull upon it. Oh yeah, that's right. I was in a really good mood earlier when someone said something. Great. That's what I'm going to use when I get into Hercules Mulligan today, instead of that stupid person on the subway that tried to come for me. You know, you just pick and choose parts of the day to help you get through it, so you can tell the story and the message can be clear.
Yeah. I rediscover over and over again how blessed I am when I'm tired. Do you know what I mean? How when I feel, I mean, there have literally been times where I'm like, Lord, I have nothing, I can't do this. And invariably those are the greatest performances. I just don't do this in my own strength. None of us do. And so, it's a humbling thing to try to pull off. I mean, we are telling the stories of people that are changing the world while we are trying to change the world, right? We have our own battles and our own issues and our own insecurities and our own pain and our own celebrations, and we're juggling it all at the same time. And you know, there are times we have to let that in, and there are some times we have to block it out to do our jobs, like Oak was saying. I've been looking, you know, we've been doing a lot of posting, or just looking through, you know, back down memory lane on our camera rolls, and I'm just shocked when I see these images of these huge moments with Hamilton juxtaposed to, you know, my son's first tooth coming out, or my daughter's birthday party, or gosh, I remember, you know, in the show, I have a little cousin that died. And you know, trying to figure out how I'm going to get down to this funeral in Alabama and do the show, you know what I mean? And yeah, like Oak said, you know, I just remember, you know, coming back to, you know, after that funeral, coming back and trying to sing Quiet Uptown for Hamilton, and you know, how much of this pain that I'm in can I use, and how much do I have to swallow this so I can do this show that people paid all this money to see? It's a constant balancing act. But we don't do it alone. And that's why we're so close to each other. That's why I love that man sitting there so much, because we held each other up, and we still do, you know?
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you guys on Disney+.
Thank you.
Now, everyone, Oak is going to have to leave in a couple of minutes. So if there's a question,
yeah, I got a question.
Okay.
All right. Hey, everybody, this is Al McGee from Boca Raton, Florida. First of all, Oak, how do you say your name?
Oh, the government? What, you want my DNA too? I'm playing.
Sure, why not?
I give you my social. Okieriete Onaodowan.
Okieriete?
Okieriete.
And your family from Nigeria, what tribe are they from? Whatever you all call it.
Okieriete, not Okieriete. Okieriete.
Okieriete, okay.
Correct.
All
and
right.
my father's Urobo and my mother's Ishan.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Smaller tribes that nobody heard about.
Yeah, some of my good friends are from Nigeria. Mm-hmm. And questions for both of you guys. When you got the role for Hercules and Madison, how much did you know of them? And how much did you learn about them?
I didn't know anything about them, and I learned everything about them. I learned a lot in terms of, because even though we brought a lot of ourselves, I still wanted to filter it through these people. So like Madison, he was very soft-spoken. He was very sickly as well and frail. So I just use that as a framework of how I can bring myself into it. So bring someone who is, that's why he is the way he is. Actually, a fun fact about Madison is when he was campaigning to become president, he didn't understand campaigning. He would say, why are you traveling places to convince people of what I'm saying? He was like, I'm the smartest person in the room. It makes sense. I can send books. I don't understand why I have to go and shake hands. And I thought that's very telling of the kind of man that he is, that he just stands on the integrity of his word and what he says. So that factors into how you create the characters. So I did as much research as I needed to kind of make them fuller and help me with edges. So yeah.
Yeah, great. And Renee, also, about Hamilton, how much did you learn about Hamilton before you knew before you got the show and then after the show?
Everything, absolutely everything. I didn't know anything about him. I think I knew very little about most of this history. And I think that's what's so shocking. I used to always call it, you know, one of the greatest stories we ever heard that we can't believe we didn't know. That just shows how powerful power is, honestly. You can literally erase somebody. I mean, we know that, we understand it, but you know, this was an extremely wealthy forefather of our country that they just don't tell a story. And that just shows how important it is that we tell our own stories. And remind ourselves, because yeah, we didn't know, and also just how intensely powerful the truth is. It will come out. It will come out, and I feel like we benefited from the fact that, you know, the universe wanted this story told. I don't really think this is about us. I think this is about, okay, it's time. You don't know why you need it, but you need it.
Right. Well, I saw both you guys on Broadway, and it was very beautiful. And also, I saw the film too. But after the show, when I was outside, I saw a father with his 2 kids and his wife, and they were talking about how educational the show was. Did you feel that also, both you guys?
Yeah, that's one thing I would say that about the show is that you can walk away saying you learned something. You know, you see a lot of projects and shows that come out and there's like a little fine print that's like, you know, it's been modified or changed, but the team really did a really remarkable job. Honestly, I think there may be 3 things that they judged a little bit for dramatic purposes, but basically everything you're seeing is factual. And I think that's why it's so popular among so many politicians, Dick Cheney and many other people, because at the end of the day, it's like, you can't argue with facts. You may not like how they're presented, but they are straight up facts. And I think that has helped the show grow in the way that it has grown.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate both you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Oak, for participating. We look forward to following you in your career and continuing to uplift and support your efforts.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Bye.
Renee.
Bye.
All right, Renee, it's all about you now, baby.
Oh, she was in a, isn't that the name of your film?
I didn't have to say that. I was about to say it, but I thought, oh, I'll just keep it to myself. Yes, my first feature.
Christine Swanson directed it.
Yes. Christine Swanson. That was a very big moment in my life and my career, and I learned a lot, and I'm grateful you saw it.
Well, I'm unlike other people. I never had to be convinced about Alexander Hamilton because he's always been one of my favorite people in history since I was a kid.
Wow.
And so when I heard about the show, like I sent someone there. I didn't even know it was a sensation before it went to Broadway. I had to find out through my friend who told me it was going to cost $1,000 per person in the park. So I was like, okay. But have you seen any changes in Broadway and how it's cast the kind of shows that are, well, before pre-pandemic, that were coming to the stage because of Hamilton? Because I know Oak was talking about people taking a chance, but the thing that Hamilton has shown is that when you diversify the story, you diversify the audience.
Yeah, you're right about that. Absolutely. Well, maybe you do if you know how to get on the radio and reach different, if you know how to reach different kinds of audiences. Yeah. You know, that's a great question. And I think that my answer is not, I don't know that I'm the best person to answer that question, honestly. I was a part of a union meeting talking about, you know, representation in, like, you know, how we as actors could be represented more fairly when it comes to royalties in the theater. And I was giving my opinion about it. And one of my very good friends said, Tony Award winners can't speak for all of us. And I was like, crack, you know. And she said it in love, but her point is that your perspective no longer is representative of what, you know, she's like, I'm fighting for the kid that's trying to get to New York City right now and what she can do. So if somebody says, Renee, will you play the lead in this show? And this character is not Black. It's probably because they think on some level that maybe people will come see it because I'm in it. It doesn't mean that they're really trying to be inclusive and that they're interested in the idea that a Black woman is going to play this part. So I think the real answer to the question is, so for me, I've had a lot of, I mean, there's a lot of opportunity for me to play literally whatever I want to play in the theater at this moment. Because economics run everything. When it comes to, do I really want to explore what it would be like if this Black, whatever, let's even go beyond gender. You know, do I really want to be inclusive and really mind bend and think differently and more openly about how I can cast this? I don't know. I know that that it happens all over the place. I don't know that it happens as consistently as it should. But I know that we've created watch groups in Broadway and in theater now to try to make sure that it does.
And curiously, what opportunity did Hamilton open up for you that you really cherish? Like, is there a particular role that you had wanted, or what opportunity do you directly correlate to stardom from Hamilton?
It opens up the opportunity to, I think, tell stories of people that are, people that they might not have talked about. I mean, I feel like I have to do a better job of using that platform, but I believe it would be easier for me to get those things made at this moment. It opens up the opportunity to go into other, genres, to be on this television show, to be in this film, to work with some of my heroes. It opens up the opportunity for me to have a platform. I have a concert. I do a lot of concerting now. I have a band and I play with symphonies across the country. And I go into like really small towns. I'm in all kinds of rooms, and I have a microphone for 2 hours, and I call it the pulpit. I get to preach, about love, and I get to talk to people that don't look like me about what my experience is, and hopefully that makes them more sensitive and more responsible. And most importantly, and this is probably one of the things I love the most, kids, if they see me, I get to see them back, if that makes any sense. At some point when you're above a certain age, you're irrelevant to young people. And what I get is that, random groups of kids are like, oh, and a lot of them are people that don't feel seen or don't feel heard. And I get to stop on the street for a second and like take a selfie and kind of love them back. And I think that's probably the greatest gift in a time in my life where that ability would be diminishing. So yeah. I win a lot from having been a part of this.
Well, thank you.
Hi, I'm Kim in Atlanta. Amazing job as normal, as always. My question is, Hamilton has had a huge impact on culture, politics, and education. So I wanted to know your take on how do you think the Black Lives Matter movement has sparked a change, a call for change of diversity and equity in Hollywood, specifically the push that's going around. We're pretty much demanding change. We're not asking anymore, we're demanding change. So what's your take on this time of actually seeing change behind the camera?
Well, I started feeling, I started with my feelings hurt, honestly. I started, you know, kind of, I actually remember when it first started, I mean, like, I think days into the protests, and right after George Floyd was murdered, I called Oak right away, and he said, I heard like explosions and everything all around him. I'm in Connecticut. He was in LA at the time. And I said, are you out? Are you protesting? It was like all so new. And he said, no, I'm going to let the white people do that for a minute. He's like, you know, it's their turn for a second. I'm going to sit right here and watch out my window for a second, let them catch up a little bit. And I just thought that was so genius. That's kind of where I started. And then when they showed up, you know what I mean? When so many of them showed up, and I think that was the most amazing to me was seeing protests in the street in other countries. When I saw that, then I was like, I got hopeful. You know, I got hopeful. It was scary to say out loud, but I started thinking, wait, what? Just maybe people are going to care about this, that, you know, aren't directly, you know, that don't think they're directly affected by this. So I got hopeful, and now I'm just waiting to see, because I don't think our attention spans are very long. I mean, even my attention span isn't very long, and this directly affects me. And so I'm concerned about what happens, you know, in general for us when there is no video camera, when there is no, when you know, that's what I don't know. And I feel that I have to take responsibility for that. I know that we've started, you know, Black Theater United. There was an amazing letter written to, you know, kind of the white theater to basically say, we see you. You know, just to let you know, the camera is on you, and we see you, and we see some things that you don't even see that you're doing. And I know that that's also happening in film. And I have to believe that because we are not going to stop watching and asking, that we will be able to change things. That's my prayer. And because we all have these platforms on social media, we don't have to wait for the media to decide that it's important. Hopefully we will continue to do it. That's my prayer. And lastly, I'm praying that what we see, that the rewards reaped for people that are not just superstars, right? My prayer is that new people that we do not know will have access to telling their story. And I'm also praying, like you said, that it is not just the people in front of the camera. It is not just, you know, this one director or this whatever. I'm praying that across the board, at every level, you will see diversity.
Awesome, thank you. And I just wanted you to know that we do see you. Earlier, it really touched me when you said someone really stood up to clap for you, and, you know, all the years of work, it means a lot, and it means a lot for someone to say, I see you. So I want you to know that we see you, and thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, Renee. My name is Ruben. I'm from Miami.
Hi, Ruben.
But I was born in Dominican Republic. Something cool about what's happening with Hamilton and Apple, it's Disney Plus, sorry. It's like, it's gonna be broad. Like, Hamilton is very limited to the American audience, but now you're gonna be worldwide. So how do you feel about this? Like, how do you feel about delivering this story to a person who lives in Japan, who never saw the musical, or in France, or even in North Korea, that you have the chance to watch these characters that is very classic in American history?
We got famous for being an exclusive ticket, but we were always very unhappy about it. People come up to us always and say, I saw you 4 times. And they're just saying it to give love, but we hear it like, that's 3 times that somebody else could have seen it. Do you know what I mean? Like, we've always been fighting that, and we've made decisions. I mean, I shouldn't say we. I've benefited from the decisions that, like, Lynn and Jeffrey and Tommy, the people that were running the show, made to try to give access, to try to welcome people in. It's a strange thing that a show that really belongs to everybody, you know, you only get to see it if this one very elite group of people like it and tell you it's good. Like, that's that's very strange. And so we were always fighting it. And fortunately, that one group of people did like it. And so other people kept getting to see it. And the fulfillment of our dream is being on Disney Plus and not being limited to a space to go see it, or actually being able to have a certain amount of money, or being however far back in the line. Like, you could just get on and see it. And that's everything to us. This story is universal, so we feel really proud of showing this version of our history to people. Most proud of the fact that, you know, we get to show these bodies, you know, doing this thing. You know, we just want you, we want to see ourselves, and we want you to see us in you know, the ways that we see ourselves. I have to tell you though, as exciting as it is that so many new people are going to get to see it, when I look on my Twitter feed, there's a whole lot of people tweeting to me in languages that I can't read, being very upset that it's not coming there. It's not everywhere yet. And
exactly my point.
Yeah, so that's frustrating. It's extremely frustrating. We are still limited in our ability to be everywhere, and it's not okay. And it's hard to totally celebrate when there are, look, I was in Sao Paulo, Brazil a couple years ago for Altered Carbon, this sci-fi show that I'm on. And, you know, I thought that was really cool that I was on the sci-fi show. And there were people that don't speak English that had no care whatsoever about my character on Altered Carbon that were like, Angelica, you know what I mean? Like, until they also can see the show, we won't rest.
Yeah, but something cool that happened with the Oscars is like the detectives say, like, if you open to subtitles, you can open to a new world. So people from my country, from the Dominican Republic, that don't speak English, but we have this skill to read subtitles and watch what's going on. Like, and they didn't have the chance to travel to Broadway to watch the show, or to someplace else where we're showing. Now we have the chance to see it and to post a comment or to recommend it to a friend. And I think this is the awesome thing about streaming nowadays.
Can I say one thing, since Lynn is not here to answer this question, to talk about access globally, true access globally. When we moved the timeline up, we were supposed to open in October 2021. When we moved it up to July 2020, there were things that were not finished, and that was the ability to give access to so many different countries. There's still work to be done that is happening. It's just that it wasn't finished. So that will happen. But when we moved the timeline up, it made it so that we didn't have the ability to make it accessible in all languages yet. But you can't in a million years think that Lin-Manuel Miranda would sleep, right? And not make sure that all of his countrymen that speak every single language have access to his show. You know that you're in safe hands there.
Thank you.
Great, we have the last question.
Hi, Renee. Ray Cornelius out of Atlanta, Georgia. Congratulations on everything, and loved you in The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So this movie is premiering on Disney Plus this weekend, and Disney is synonymous with dreams and princesses and all of these iconic characters that children, you know, grow up to emulate and just totally love. So has it crossed your mind that you're now in that world of where a young lady will grow up and say, I want to be that character, I want to be that woman? Has that crossed your mind? And also, well, actually, that was my first question, so answer that one if you can.
Yeah, are you kidding me? You know, you don't have to call yourself an actor to not have always dreamed of being a princess. I mean, I got a 7-year-old. I know that some things are just, you know, they're just built in. So yeah, that's always been a dream. I was auditioning for the Frog Princess back in the day. I mean, I've always been trying. I mean, we grew up, you know, there's just something about the magic of Disney that just lures so many of us in. And who knew that we would end up there? We certainly didn't. we certainly didn't see this coming, but we don't see much coming, right? And we just kind of keep walking and trying to make the right choices and believe that that we will make the choices that we make the right ones, if that makes any sense. And so that's what we're doing with this Disney experience. And I think just kind of the icing on the cake is that I get to say that I'm a Disney princess right now. You know, we were always playing this role. I mean, everything in my life, honestly, has been about doing something or not doing something that would be destructive to me as a little girl if I was watching it. I mean, like, there are some insidious narratives, right, that are written specifically, that are specifically destructive to Black girls. And you know, people can offer you a lot of really good jobs that are not things that I would have needed to see as a little girl. So regardless of whatever power or I had or didn't have, I always had the power to say no. And this is one of those times where I'm proud for little girls of color to see Angelica Schuyler. I'm proud of her, and I'm grateful about that.
Thanks so much for answering that one. My last question is, Broadway was supposed to open up in the fall. It has now been pushed back to 2021. And I know that you were among 300 others that signed the letter to Dear White American Theater. Do you think that with this time now of them having to kind of go back to the drawing board and determining how they're going to reopen these productions, that they're going to get things started back up again, that they'll truly listen to what you guys are asking and can really put some concrete action items in place so that when Broadway reopens in 2021, that it will be a totally new Broadway? I
hope so. I really hope so. I mean, you know, we definitely have time to figure it out. God has given us that. We have time, and we have marching orders. We have that too. What we don't know is what economic constraints we're going to feel. We don't know what our country is going to look like next year. We don't know that. We don't know what our families are going to look like. We don't know. We have no idea where we're going. I mean, if we've learned anything, it's that we don't know. At the moment, you know, it's always pressure that creates anything, right? Change, you know, it's always pressure. And right now, at this particular moment, it seems like the greatest pressure is the eyes of people looking at you and convicting you to do the right thing when it comes to inclusion. We don't know that the pressure that's going to be felt by the time theater opens up has nothing to do with our eyes and just has to do with keeping this building open, you know? So all we, I think, can do to ensure that these changes happen is that we are responsible with what we support. You know, if that's we have to keep looking, we have to keep asking, we have to keep insisting, and then we actually have to show up for ourselves. And so we'll see.
Renee, this has been terrific. And like we said to Oak earlier, we support you, we uplift you. We're looking forward to following you as you continue to reach new heights in your career, which I, for one, am very confident that you will.
Oh,
thank you so much for your time. And on behalf of the world's largest group of Black film critics, we thank you. And we, again, wish you well.
Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for taking all the time to talk to us.
Bye, Renee.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, Renee.
Bye. Thank you for speaking with us.